So in the last video, I created this playlists view, and I populated all of this data. And the way I did that was I just grabbed some images that I downloaded and I dropped them in the project, and then I just dragged them into each of the list cells and modified these titles manually. What I thought I'd do in this video is show you something a little bit cooler, and what that's going to be is that we're going to actually populate a similar view to this, but using JSON data. So this is great when you're prototyping. You can usually get some JSON data from what you're trying to hook up to, but if not, you can even just mock up some JSON data in a JSON editor, and I might come and show you how to do that later, but right now I'm just going to use some JSON data that I found online. So I got this from Last.fm. They've got an open sort of API that you can access stuff like this. So I'll just drop that into the project, and you can see that I dropped that JSON in here and it created a JSON folder. This is the structure of the JSON that we're looking at. So essentially it's got a bunch of artists, and each artist has some properties like their name and a URL, and then it's got some images, etc. So to do this, or to use this JSON data, there's a few ways you can do it, but probably the kind of neatest way to do it is to create a new element or a new JSON model. So what I like to do is group these into a group called models. So I'll say this is top artists. Okay, so I've created a new model in here, and yeah, what you do is you just put the path in here. So JSON/top artists pop.json. Okay. When I do that, what it's doing is it's referring to that JSON file, and actually that could just be a URL off the internet as well. It doesn't need to be a local JSON file. It just needs to be a link or a path to either a local or a JSON file that's online. Once you've done that, you get pretty much a similar view to what we had up here, except now there are these little check things here that you can pick and choose the elements within this structure that you think are interesting for your project, or the bits of data that your design needs. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick out artists, this array of artists. So that's essentially just that whole list of 50 artists that are part of this content. And the other thing that obviously we're going to want is the name. And let's grab this image. So this is extra large image, so we'll get that as well. We might come back later and we might add some other things, like we might add the ID, but for now I don't think we'll need that. So what it's done as I've been clicking there is it's been creating this little structure down here, and to kind of make more sense of it, it's useful to rename these sort of default values. So this thing down here, this is the actual artist that this is the content that relates to the artist that we're picking, right? Name is fine, but this thing here that's called text, that's actually the image. So we just give it a nice neat name, and that's how we'll refer to this. We don't want to refer to that sort of string in that way, or that image in that way. We just want to have a nice simple name. So our artist has an image and a name. They're the sort of properties that it has. And over here, let's call this top artists. Okay. And here we have an array of these. So those square brackets means that we have an array of these things. And that array is currently called artist. But I think it'd be clearer if it was artists. So a plural. Okay, so we have an array in here called artists, and each one of those, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's quite important that you sort of get this structure. Okay, so we've done that now. What I thought I would do in terms of where we're going to put this, we could build up a structure in here, but I think I'll just add it to this browse tab or I'll replace this browse tab with this view. And later on we'll probably change this, but there's just somewhere to put it for now, and we can kind of see how it works. So I'll head over to browse, and I'm going to delete this because we're going to use this other component. So this navigation page, which I think is really good. And this will be browse. Okay. Let's go in here. Well, actually, I'll just drop it from here again. Column. So we're going to drop in a column. The nice thing about dropping it in Designer is that it hooks it up into this content thing automatically. The downside is at the moment, it adds these anchors that I don't really want. But okay, now we have pretty much what we want. Let me call this root. So by convention, in Zing, you tend to name this sort of topmost element, or topmost element in each file. We call that root. It's really just a convention. You could call it whatever you like, but I'd say stick to root. Okay, so we have this structure. If I head over to browse, you'll see that it's got the title and it's got this scroll area here. Currently there's nothing in it. So we want to populate, we want to start creating items in here. And let's use the list cell that we did for playlist, that we created for playlist. Let's use that as the starting point. So I'm going to duplicate that. I'll call this artist. Okay. So this is the artist list cell. Let's call this root as well, as root, just for consistency. I'll do that up here. Oh, actually, one thing I'll show you is you can do it over here as well. You don't need to do it in the code view. You can do it in this outline view. This is really a lot like, this is effectively like a layers palette, or a layers palette in Sketch or Photoshop or whatever. Similar idea. Anyway, back to the artist list cell. What do we have? So where it says title, we're going to call that name. So name. We've got to go through here and change that to name. 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 Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I don't think we need creator. I'm not really into that kind of thing, so let's get rid of creator. I think that's cool. So let's have a look over into the design tab and see what we've got. We've got the artwork and the name. I think we could bump that size up a bit. Let's make it bigger. I don't know, something like that, or might be a bit too big, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. Okay, cool. So we've got the element that we want. Let's head back to the Browse tab and see how we can populate it. First thing we want to do is create a new instance of this model. So that means we want to do it outside of this root element. So the stuff that's inside the root element is stuff that gets rendered on the screen. Like the model wouldn't be rendered, but anyway, that's the intention of that. You put all the stuff that you kind of want to show up on the screen in there. And I don't know, maybe that's not the best description. But anyway, what we want to do is we want to put this model outside of root. So models, and I'll give this a name, like top artist. Okay, there we go. So we've created an instance of that. And so now what we want to do is whenever this browse tab gets created, we want to take that model that's getting populated by that data and we want to loop through it and create these artist list cells in here. All right, that's the goal, right? So what we do is we say on start. We want to do I'm going to do a for loop, and if you just type, I'll just show you that again. It's quite handy. So you type FO and hit tab. it creates the loop, the structure automatically. And what we want to do is for artist in, and this is where the auto completion comes in really handy. So we'll say top artist because that's our model. You hit dot, and it's data dot artists, and that was, if you remember over here in the model, that's that array there. So we're going to loop through the items through all of the artist elements or whatever they are inside that array. Let me just fix up this indentation. So another tip is if you select some text, or if you actually just select all and hit Command I, it indents correctly. It corrects the indentation. Okay, so this is what we're looping through these artists, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new list item for each one of those. So we're going to say var, which is a new variable. I'll call it list item because that's what we're creating, and it's a new list cell dot artist. So that's what we want to create. Okay, and what I might just do to see if this is actually working at all is that list item that we just created. We'll do set container, and we're going to set the container of that list item to this column. To do that, we need to give it a name as let's call it list. So we're going to set the container of this list item to list, and this all happens on start. So let's see if it actually is working. Yep, there we go. So now we've got automatically, well, not automatically, but through this looping, we've created all these list cells. Let's see, what do we need to do? Oh, actually, they're all blank right now, so they've got no image and they've got no name. So let's see, what we need to do is we need to set those properties in that list cell. So name is, and it's this instance here, artist.name, and the source, which is the source of the image, is artist.image. Okay, we'll see if this works. And there we go. We've now populated all that content just by doing that. I reckon that's pretty cool. So yeah, that text looks a bit ridiculously big, so let's go and turn that down. Where was that? Artists. So this is actually kind of cool. You can see that this text is size 32. We can make it bigger or we can make it smaller. Yeah, my initial instinct to make it around 20 or maybe 24, probably a bit better. Okay, cool. I think that'll do for this video.